Welcome, duckies. I'm going to be painting Donald Duck today. I'm going to go over supplies real quick before I start painting. This is a washcloth. I like to use it just because it's a little softer for my brushes, but you can also use a paper towel to dry your brush. I've got my trusty Smisky with me. He's super cute. I got him at Epcot. I have my Winsor Newton travel kit. I love this thing. I've had it for almost a decade. I just refill it and reuse it all the time, but it's great because it's just the standard colors. We also have my Koi brand travel brush. I love this because I can just fill it with water and paint on the go. I've got my watercolor pencil from Albert Durr. These are absolutely lovely for just kind of softening edges and adding little details or reflections. I also have my Posca. This is a acrylic marker. I use it for really highlights all over the drawing. Also, if I make any mistakes with the ink, I like to go over it. It's a good correction tool. Feel free to paint along with me, and if you are unable to right now, I hope you're enjoying a nice cozy beverage and treat. I decided to paint Donald in a Beatrix Potter style illustration. I absolutely love her work. If you've watched my other videos, I talk about her quite a bit. She's just a very inspiring illustrator. I inked Donald with a Copic gray marker. I absolutely love these because they're waterproof. They're kind of an India ink. They're also light fast and archival, which means that they won't fade. And hopefully you'll be able to enjoy it for many, many, many years. I also like it because it blends with the watercolor quite nicely, so certain pigments completely hide the line art, which is nice because sometimes you don't want to have stark lines showing through things. It can soften edges and just generally looks nice in the final illustration. I am an avid Disney park goer. I absolutely love seeing the Disney ducks walking around begging for French fries or any kind of food. They are just absolutely adorable. I'm using cadmium red for Donald's bow tie. I want it to stand out amongst the blue, so I'm using a very saturated version of the paint. The blue I'm using is a royal blue. I mixed it with a little bit of violet just to give it a more of a richness. And I'm going to be doing a really light coating and then go back over it with a more saturated coating. You can also use phthalo blue or Prussian blue, and it will give you very similar results to what I'm making right now. Winnie is distracting me. She's being absolutely adorable. Winnie, what you doing? What you doing? She's showing me her little snaggletooth. Watercolor is an excellent medium for those who are wanting to work quickly. I am one of those people. I like to get an illustration done within the day. If not the day, at least within the week. And it's great. It's also portable, so I can paint on the go. For Donald's coat buttons and ribbon on his sleeve and collar, I'm going to be using a warm yellow, a butter yellow. You can also use a cadmium yellow or lemon yellow mixed with a little bit of red. And we're just gonna start applying that here and there. His feet are going to be painted using the same ribbon yellow mixed with a little more red to make that orange pop for his little duck feet. I am now adding my second coat of pigment to Donald's coat and hat. I'm going to be using a phthalo blue mixed with Prussian blue and maybe just a touch of violet. The reason you do multiple coatings in watercolor is because sometimes if you try to add multiple coatings at once, you get things like what's called bleeding, where the water separates the pigment and you get that classic watercolor splotch look, which is not what I'm going for today with this illustration. Winnie wanted to sleep on my lap. She is currently curled up like a little donut, sound asleep. I'm now going to add a couple touches of my same pigment I was using for his coat, but I've added Payne's Gray and just going to add a little bit of depth to his outfit. I'm also going to add a little more black to his ribbon around his cap. Now that all of my base colors have dried, I get to do the fun part, which is add detail and depth. Woohoo! This means we're just going to be adding darker versions of the pigments we were using for our base. So that might be adding more of one color. In my case, I'm going to be adding some terracotta or burnt umber or raw umber to my orange and yellow pigments. For my blue, I'm going to be adding Payne's Gray to kind of dull it a bit, make it more realistic. Then for my bow tie, I'm probably going to go back over it in a little bit. I'm not sure though. Think about it. But yeah, and then for his shading on his body, I'm going to be using Payne's Gray just all the way to give him depth with his little feathers. Payne's Gray is a fantastic color. If you don't already have it in your collection, I highly recommend getting it. It just adds realistic shading to any hue. It does cool things down though. So if you're looking for a warmer version of this color, I recommend Holbein's Peach Gray. It is fantastic for doing hair or just warmer tones in any illustration. The shading and lighting around this piece is general. I don't have a specific light source that I'm referencing. I'm just adding shadow, adding some final shading details to his feathers. I added a tiny bit of crimson to my Payne's Gray just to give him a little warmth in his feathers. When I added the crimson, it's I don't even know how to measure it. It's so tiny because if you add too much, it will overpower it. And we do not want to give Donald a thick layer of rouge. Adding some shadow to his wing feathers, just a little bit underneath his wing. Adding some phthalo blue to the under area of his cap and around the edges just to give it a little bit of depth. And I'm going to be feathering out the edges, which means it's just going to kind of blend in with my previously added layer. Gonna add a little bit of shading under his beak there. We are going to begin adding some detail to the ribbons on his cap, adding little natural reflections. You're going to use a very strong concentrated form of your pigment. So in my case, it's black. I'm going to leave an empty space in the center. So I'm going to apply a little bit of the super dark color on each side. By doing this, it adds a natural look to your watercolored ribbon. I am shading his little duck feet with burnt sienna, and I'm gonna dab it up just a little bit because I made it a little too dark right there. I am coming back to darken his bow tie. I was not satisfied with the way it dried. It was too pink, and I want it to be like a strong fire engine red, crimson. Yeah. Mixing the yellow ochre with my cadmium yellow, and I'm just going to be again applying it to the edges of the yellow ribbons on his clothing and maybe a little bit on the edge of his buttons. It's going to be the same method I used for coloring the ribbon on his cap. at my local park, there is several ducks that look just like this guy. I think they might have been someone's pet at some point and they just dropped them off because they are very friendly and just act domesticated, but they've been there for several years, so I think that they have excellent survival instincts. The fact that they haven't been eaten by a coyote give them mad respect, but they are the prettiest park ducks ever. And so this piece in a way is kind of homaging their cuteness as well. It is time to add some highlights. I'm going to be using my Posca acrylic fine liner marker. I'm going to be adding a little bit of highlights to his bow tie. And just gonna be adding them to the buttons. Oh no. And just gonna be, oh no. I am going to allow that to dry and continue adding highlights all over the painting. Turns out that area was just a little damp, and that's okay. We're gonna go back over it with my blue that I had for my coat. On the camera, but it does add a little bit of softness in person. I'm going to be adding a little bit of watercolor pencil to lighten the ink on the right hand side here. This now becomes a process of dab and add paint and dab and add paint until it finally looks satisfactory. I'm going to add the final touches around the piece. Done. I'm going to add my signature. I was able to find a really cute frame. And yeah, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I hope you have an amazing day, everyone. Happy painting. Winnie munching on a biscuit, waiting for the fairy with me. She is absolutely loving her Mickey-shaped